Hey, we are back and we are mad. BG leaves for Kentucky. Are you flippin' kidding me? I thought this was your dream. I don't think that word means what you think it means, big homie BG. SEC ya later, buddy.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 back in bonus bets. Just go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get yourself started today. Meanwhile, we get started with the irritation and understanding that Brandon Garrison has now taken his talents from Stillwater to Kentucky. Now, on face value, that's not bad, right? He's technically going up. But as a real Oklahoma State fan, I don't love it. Matter of fact, I think this should get the same treatment as Kelly Maxwell. If Kelly Maxwell stabbed us in the back with a knife, then I feel like Brandon Garrison is doing the same thing with a machete. Why? Because he's a Cowboy, or supposedly he grew up an Oklahoma State fan. Him and his family were coming to games since he was a kid. His dream school was Oklahoma State. His dream was to play inside Gallagher-Iba Arena. Now, technically, he did do that. He fulfilled a little bit of his dream. But, again, that word doesn't mean what you think it means. And I'm not frustrated so much that he transferred. I don't even care where he would have transferred to. I'm frustrated because he lied to us. Like, I tell you, I bleed orange. I was never good enough to play at Oklahoma State. But if I would have been, I would have given my left testicle and my left leg just to play at Oklahoma State. So the difference between it being a dream school and being fraudulent are now on display. Kelly Maxwell, well, it was a big stab going to OU, our arch nemesis right up the road. He did Kenny Gajewski in softball dirty. The way that she left, where she went to, not cool. But she didn't grow up an Oklahoma State fan. She didn't come in saying her dream her whole life was to play in Stillwater for Oklahoma State. She didn't do that. Trace Ford grew up an OU fan. Didn't get an offer from OU. Has a bunch of injuries and then gets to fulfill that opportunity. Good for him to some degree, right? Whatever. Kelly Maxwell hurt. This one hurts more. I don't care if he would have scored 1 point, 50 points, 0 points. I don't give a hoot. If you're a Cowboy, be a daggone Cowboy. Connor Dow. Now, I understand Connor Dow's not Brandon Garrison. Connor Dow's not having schools from the SEC, the ACC, and wherever else knocking down his door for his services. He's not going to get the Musa Cisse treatment. But he's a Cowboy. So he's back because he wants to be part of this revitalization of Cowboy basketball. And I really thought Eric Dailey, 50-50. But I firmly believe that Brandon Garrison, since he's an Oklahoma State fan and he's an orange-blooded Cowboy growing up, that he, above anybody else, would want to be part of putting Oklahoma State back on the pedestal that it deserves to be. Again, when it comes to the transfers, I think that clearly there's a theme with what Steve Lutz is trying to accomplish. And we can all get on board with it, especially if you're an old school Eddie Sutton style Cowboy fan. You're going to love what Steve Lutz is doing. But I don't love anybody going anywhere saying, this is my dream school. If somebody said, I want to go to Central Michigan, that's my dream. And then you get to Central Michigan, don't bail after a year. That means it wasn't your dream to play here. Okay? That's false. That's fake news. That's not accurate. You wanted to play for Mike Boynton. Great dude. Good ambassador. Great recruiter. Horrendous coach. Mike Boynton's failure last year has nothing to do with Brandon Garrison being at Oklahoma State. Mike Boynton's failure last year has nothing to do with you still being a Cowboy on Gallagher-Iba. I agree, or at least understand, 90% of transfers. For example, Donovan Stevens in the transfer portal, which is a good thing. That dude would start at a decent number of Power 4 schools in the country. He just won't quite be able to start at Oklahoma State. He'll always be a second teamer. So he wants to go play somewhere because he's good enough to play, just not quite at our level. That's cool. That makes sense. Trace Ford because of injury. That's cool. That makes sense. This is not cool, and it doesn't make sense. So maybe a cautionary tale to anybody out there. Do not claim that somewhere's your dream school if you're just going to pick up and bounce out a year later. That's ridiculous. Then maybe it's the generation. Maybe being a hardcore, diehard, real fan is significantly different now than it used to be. That very well be the case. But to me, this is a lot like you want the wife that you've always wanted, and then you get it, and then you marry her, and then you decide you don't want it, and what are we doing? Dream school, dream girl, threw it away, throw it away. This hurts. This hurts my heart a lot, but thankfully, Steve Lutz has had some success in the transfer market, as well as retention to some degree. I think has been pretty good as well. We got some surprises. You need a surprise in your life, and that surprise probably ought to be game time. Why? Because planning ahead is already stressful, right? The tickets for the hotel or the rental or the flights or whatever, it makes it hard. Game time makes it easier for you to relieve a lot of that stress. It's the authorized ticket marketplace right now of the NBA, which makes getting tickets for the playoffs faster and easier. The last-minute killer deals and all-in prices are massive. You know, I love the views from the seat. The Flash deal lets you save even more with the exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or an event, because this isn't just about sports. Comedy, music, theater, whatever, we got you covered. My favorite, the seat view. You get the panoramic view of the seat in the app before you buy. If you've ever got tickets from a third party or a scalper and ended up in somewhere you didn't think you were supposed to be, that's not going to happen. Take the guesswork out of you buying tickets for the NBA and everything else by downloading Game Time today. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONCallers for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but make sure you do create that account and use that code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Meanwhile, while you're doing that and you're trying to think of the bank account, FanDuel can help you out. Right now, FanDuel's giving $150 back to new customers, and it's guaranteed, right? $150 back in your wallet, in your pocket, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, and it's all on the app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Do not waste any more time if you haven't already. Download FanDuel today. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your next bet your best bet with an automatic W by using FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So BG leaves for Kentucky. Okay, that's all right. Because a big surprise to me was Bryce Thompson. See, I really figured maybe these two flip-flop, right? Bryce Thompson's been here for a few years. He's from Oklahoma. He's a blue-chip 5-star. Hadn't exactly panned out for him. He was having a good year. Then he dealt with an injury. It kind of felt like if anybody was going to be ready to maybe spread their wings a bit, it would be Bryce Thompson. So the fact that he decided to stay, yet the Oklahoma State fan that dreamed his whole life being here is gone. Okay? Frustrating. It bothers me. I really thought he had a pretty decent crack at Justin McBride. But Justin McBride transferring to Nevada tells us one thing. We know via Steve Lutz's own mouth that his conversations with Justin McBride were about tenacity, hustle, hard work, diving for everything, blood, sweat, tears all day, every day. And he seemed receptive at first, but obviously he backed off of sticking with Lutz, which is okay. We just mentioned Connor Dow. That was a big get. You know, he was last season. Early on, he showed some promise when it came to shooting, but then again, it kind of it kind of went sideways. But it's okay, because we do have some guys in the portal that we've been able to get. The most recent guy is the UCF transfer, Marchelus Avery. He's a 6'7" individual that can hit from three at almost 40%, but he can also bang down low. He's a good guy in the box, right? Down low. He's really good at getting rebounds, creating separation for himself down low, and pick and popping from three. He was in the 70th percentile in catch and shoot from 3-point range at 6'7", 220 some odd pounds. So this is the big man with the outside game that we missed maybe last year, maybe the year before. I mean, Moussa Cisse, he didn't have much of an outside game. And yes, there's an opportunity for Moussa to come back. I think that would be great. He did go get his bag at Ole Miss, right? He got his cool $300,000 that we couldn't give him. If he missed the locker room, the arena, the camaraderie, and everything that is in Stillwater, we'll have another shot at Moussa Cisse. I'm 50-50 on it, right? I mean, he left. He got his money. It is what it is. I could care less. But I really like this kid here. I think Marchelus Avery is going to be good. I mean, heck, we watched him pick and pop threes on us right in front of John McElroy's face. You don't think somebody that size is going to be, massively beneficial from the outside. But it works out sometimes, and it worked out for us there. Just like somebody else that we were able to bring in. Now, we could talk real quick about Keon Williams. Keon Williams went from Oklahoma State to Abilene Christian. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. He's good enough to play at Oklahoma State. He's good enough to play at Arkansas. He's definitely good enough to play at Arkansas State. So why he chose that school, I couldn't tell you. But Texas Tech transfer, Robert Jennings, another 6'7" beast of a dude. When I first looked at him, I thought of like maybe the glue guy, right? The David Mons of the group. But then after watching his highlights a couple times, I think I've matured in my thought process behind Robert Jennings being just a role player. I think that he just barely scratched the surface of what he can do athletically at Texas Tech. He's got a couple of years left, which is going to be huge for us. He's another, big guy. He doesn't have the range, obviously, from outside, but he does shoot some threes occasionally. If I recall correctly, from three-point range, he was like 38%. He didn't shoot many. He was 75% from the free throw line. We know we need that. He's got some blocks. He's got some tenacity down low. He's able to bang around a little bit, kind of like a Tyreek Smith. This is a good analogy, in my opinion, because Tyreek Smith transferred from Texas Tech. Robert Jennings, transferring from Texas Tech, has some of the same game with a better outside shot. So I think this is a Tyreek Smith with more athleticism is what I'm seeing here. And then we also picked up another individual that's got a couple years left. So we get Robert Jennings for a couple of years. We also get FIU guard or Arturo Dean. Arturo Dean is not a three-point shooter. He's pretty good in the passing game, but where he excels is defensively. He's had over 185 steals already in his career. He was averaging almost 2.6 steals a game. This is a kid that is kind of like a John Michael Wright, right? If I'm going to do a comp here, he's John Michael Wright. He's smaller, not as stocky, not as built. But if you watch his game, he plays a lot like our main man, John Michael Wright. And I think he has a lot of the same leadership capabilities. He's better in the lane, flashing to the basket than John Michael Wright was, but he's worse from three-point range than John Michael Wright was. And John Michael Wright was not a three-point sharpshooter, savant, specialist, right? And the biggest thing, when you look at all three of these guys, is defense, defense, defense. hustle, tenacity, defense. This is the old school basketball brand that we, most likely, most of us, grew up watching. We may not have an overabundance of talent, but what we do have, seemingly, is a man that's willing to push these guys more than they've ever been pushed before. I'm surprised that Bryce Thompson came back. I'm surprised that Brandon Garrison is leaving. But if you have some of the mainstays, and we're still, awaiting the news for Jamiron Keller. That would be a big deal if he stuck around. But again, this basketball brand is what most of us have been craving. We may not have superstars. We may not have, NBA surefire guys. But what we are going to have is dudes that are in shape, that are willing to run the floor consistently over and over and over and over, and they're willing to dive for every loose ball, take every elbow to the nose, dive over the bleachers. It doesn't matter. Whatever it takes to hustle for a W, that's what Steve Lutz is about. And clearly, that's what he's bringing in. He's bringing in guys that offensively need some work, but defensively, they already get it. Hustle-wise, they get it. Running up and down the floor, creating fast break opportunities, they get. So these are massive gets, in my opinion, for the type of basketball that Steve Lutz is trying to play. We are used to, with Mike Boynton, getting all the best players in the country. Not all of them, but a decent amount. And them not performing. This is going to be the opposite, I think. This is going to be a lot of 2-star, 3-star style guys, but they're all willing to give up their bodies and do whatever it takes on every single play, no matter what happens. That's going to be fun, win or lose. If you just bring back that old school Eddie Sutton shut you down and break you by the end of the game style of basketball, I'm on board. I think a lot of us are on board. So losing Dailey and BG, it hurts pretty significantly. But we're replacing effort with talent. And there's a decent amount of time that the person who works the hardest will outperform the guy who has the most talent. So this has been successful thus far. Even if it just kind of stays status quo. I'm awaiting Jamiron Keller because I think he showed the second half of the season that we've got something special in him. We don't exactly know what it is, but he's not your run-of-the-mill cat. He's not even really a sixth man. He would be a phenomenal, top-notch sixth man. And that's what we need. That's what we need him for. But what this comes down to is what Steve Lutz is telling everybody is, I'm going to physically break you, and I'm going to mentally push you past your physical comfort zone. It's not going to be fun. Playing for me in Stillwater, when we have to turn this ship around real quick, it's not going to be fun. It's going to be a fight every single day. You're not going to want to wake up and go running. You're not going to want to wake up and lift the weights. You're not going to want to wake up and bang bodies down low. Unless you're about that life. So we're bringing in guys that are about that life. That's not about the stats and the points. And some of their stats are really amazing. But that's not what this team is going to be about. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I think you guys are too. Now, we do have to talk contract because I'm a little surprised here. All right. I'm a little surprised by the contract that Steve Lutz got. It's good. It's good for him. I don't know that it's great for us, right? We've had about a hard time with contracts, but nonetheless, before that, we got to talk about you having some fun. Sports is fun, of course, but sometimes you got to press pause. No, did he talk about Monopoly Go? In Monopoly Go, you can team up with friends for time tournaments. You work together and build each other's boards up. The more you win together, the more awesome the prizes you get, and you unlock them. Right now, they have unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, awesome emojis for taunting friends and having some fun. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or robot pachinko machine. I don't know. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent freezies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So set yourself off right and download it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on, baby, with Monopoly. Have some fun with friends and family and gain some bragging rights. Steve Lutz has bragging rights. Steve Lutz's contract dictates he gets those bragging rights. It's a 5-year deal, which I'm not a fan of. I was hoping for a 3-year deal, but it's going to be hard to get a coach that a lot of other universities are after on just a 3-year deal. So evidently, a 5-year deal was what needed to happen, so that's what happened. It's better than what his agent wanted. His agent wanted 7 years, and thankfully we said, not only no, but H to the double hockey sticks, no, not doing that. But we're paying him more than I thought we would. We're paying him Boynton money. His average is like 2.7, 2.8 million a year over the next 5 years, starting out at 2.4 million a year this year, going to 3 million a year with incentives and all the, win the conference and go to the tournament and all that fun jazz. This is a bigger contract than I thought he was going to get. But this also proves that the time that Chad Weiberg was able to put in, getting in super early on Steve Lutz, it gave us a lot of time to get the packaging put together right. And then from an NIL perspective, we're not rolling in the dough, but from what I've gathered, we have at least doubled the NIL budget from last season, which means we had more than enough to keep Brandon Garrison. It's another irritation I have. I don't know what he's getting at Kentucky. I don't really care. But I do know that we had enough NIL budget to give him close to what Musa Cisse got at Ole Miss. So, any Brandon Garrison defenders out there, just know that this wasn't even necessarily a financial deal, unless Kentucky gave him a $500,000, which is possible. That's about the only way this makes any sense whatsoever, because I do know NIL for him and Dailey wasn't going to be a massive issue. But it's okay. Steve Lutz's contract is what it is. 5 years, a couple years too many for me, but 2.4 million, that's in the ballpark of what it was going to take, because we were competing with a lot of other places for his services. But good job, Weiberg, having that tie. Ole Miss tie, ironically enough. Chris Beard, Ole Miss, and Musa Cisse goes to Ole Miss. And the Musa Cisse comes back to visit Oklahoma State. These are not coincidences, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how Beard and Weiberg are homies, but I appreciate it. I like it. And I like what it's been able to leverage us with here. I think Steve Lutz is a great hire. I think it makes the most amount of sense, and it brings Oklahoma State basketball back to a brand that we are familiar with. I'm ready for it. Don't care how we end up in the season record-wise. I just want to see us play hard-nosed, intense, punch you in the mouth repeatedly basketball. That's what I want to see. I don't care what the scoreboard says. I just want to see a fun, beat you down, and make you fear coming to Gallagher, Iowa basketball brand. That's all I want. If I get that, I'm happy. Now you got to start winning eventually, but year one, man, just let it fly. Let it fly, cut them loose, have some fun, but also incorporate some discipline, that fun little thing that we haven't had since Mike Boynton. Actually, we didn't have it with Ford either. So back-to-back coaches with no discipline, no accountability. Great recruiters, not great at X's and O's, not great at retention, really. So here we are. It is what it is. Alrighty. I think that's all we're going to have for this one right here. Everybody, I appreciate you. I love you. The prayers, the messages, greatly needed. I'm good to go now. Just had a little minor snafu, but I'm okay. I got released, and I tested it today on the golf course. And I'll tell you a little secret. A home skillet here is probably better with one leg than I ever was with two. It's crazy. It's because I have to kind of keep my balance funky. I don't use the prosthetic often because I've got to do some things before I can wear it again. But life with one leg on the golf course, it's exhausting, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And I played the entire 18. I didn't plan on it. Like I told the guy that I went with, I was like, dude, I haven't played golf since my surgeries, a few years ago. So I don't know how this is going to go. So I'm not going to tee off, right? I'm probably just going to lay up with you on the fairway and, pitch and wedge in my way and have some fun. But then I was like, you know what? I'll grip it and rip it. Why not? And I had one of the best drives of my life. So I just kept playing it. And I actually played the whole course, played the whole 18. My score wasn't good, but I had some shots in there that reminded me that, oh yeah, you're still somewhat athletic. So I tested the leg here and worked out well. I'm glad to be back on board again. I appreciate everything that everybody's been sending me, well wishes, prayers, all that fun jazz. We're back at it. All right, we're good to go. Not happy about Brandon Garrison, but hey, happy about football, the commitments. What do we talk about a couple weeks ago? This was going to be the best class since 2018, maybe since 2011. Well, we're right there. We're right there, right around where the 2011, 2012 classes were. So if we finish this way, and I think we're going to finish even stronger, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll save that for the next episode. All right, y'all. So we're going to have for this one right here. I love you. God bless, as always. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. We're back in the saddle again, and it feels good. Hopefully we just land a few more commits or transfers, either one. That'd be pretty cool. All right, y'all. I love you. I appreciate you. You could be anywhere. Go hit the like button. Most importantly, share, comment, subscribe. All my podcasting people out there, my bricks, my butter, bread, foundation, call it what you want to call it. Go do what you do. Hit the stars, leave a review. All right, y'all. Later, taters.